MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
Welcome to episode 92 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 41 of City Hunter, titled Mokkori Everywhere, Ryo's Mind and a Psychic Girl, Part 1.
To the best of my knowledge, the only news that has cropped up since last week is that most recent City Hunter movie should be in theaters in Japan by now, yeah?
Yeah, it opened technically today, but, because of datelines, it was yesterday. But yes, it is now in theaters. So far, I haven't seen any spoilers on my timeline, so I'm a little glad about that.
I did see two Japanese people that I follow say they went and saw it and liked it. That's about all I've heard.
I do see that there's a lot of promotion for it right now, a lot of cross-promotion with, like, a liquor brand and Akira Kamiya, Ryo's voice, taking a bunch of pictures. He has his own version of the costume that he wears for himself, this nice blue blazer, red button-up shirt that he wears. God bless the man. He's not a spring chicken anymore, but he gives so much energy every time he plays him.
Well, what's funny is that Ryo's adoptive dad is in this movie, and that actor is clearly younger than Kamiya actually is.
Yeah.
It's a little funny.
It is funny when that happens. I've had that happen a number of times when I've done plays and things like that where someone's playing my parent or grandparent and I'm older than them.
Right.
But of course, those are high school and college.
Nothing you can do about
that. Yeah,
that.
there's nothing you can do about that. The pool is very small as far as the age gap is concerned. But beyond that, I just hope there's some merch left behind when we get out there in a couple of months to Japan, because I want to get all this amazing merchandise that they're selling, like shirts, keychains, little clear plastic...
Acrylic stands.
Acrylic stand, yeah, of all the characters. They've got them all. Shinkai Bara, the characters we don't like from this movie.
I just don't know. I don't know. 2 months might be too late.
I just hope there's something. There's got to be something,
We'll see.
We'll hopefully come back with something, and we'll let you guys know what we got.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while, though.
But yes, for today's episode of the podcast, we're covering a two-parter here about a little girl with ESP.
I'm not super thrilled about it. There's a few things I'm not super thrilled about, but the first one that jumps out immediately is just that we're dealing with superpowers, and that's just not normally what we've got going on in this show.
Well, to be fair, the way it's treated in the episode isn't the worst. I think my least favorite of the supernatural episodes, which I think is the end of this season, is the girl who, what is it? She can either see ghosts or she is a ghost.
I don't remember. I don't like that one either.
No, I like that one way less than this one. This one, I'm actually kind of okay with, in comparison. But without delay, let's go ahead and start our story here at the top of the show, back at Cat's Eye. And we see here that Umibozu is now settling into his role as the manager of Cat's Eye, because I guess that was the condition of them not getting married. Because you'll remember at the end of last week's episode, Umi kind of reneged on their agreement that if Ryo and him got hit by the paint darts, that Umibozu would have to marry Miki. Well, he kind of pussed out on that and said, well, I'm okay with us being partners. So I think what happened is that Miki told him, all right, well, if we're not getting married, you have to come work at Cat's Eye full-time as the manager.
Well, he only agreed to 1 day, though. That's what we're hearing right now.
We are hearing that, but we're gonna see him there.
Oh no, he's there for the rest
now.
He's there for the rest of the run of the show. I understand that. All I'm saying is that's not what he said.
No, yeah, he thought, oh, I'm only here for 1 day. I hate it. The customers don't like me. I don't like the customers. I don't like having to treat people nice. And Ryo's in there at the counter being like, man, there's no way you're gonna be able to keep this up past 1 day. Just look how scary you are.
But Miki's like, well, I don't care about any of that. If he scares away all the customers, I'm just glad he's here with me.
Like, she's beaming with joy at him.
She's just glad that he's there.
And then as Ryo sees her beaming at Umibozu like that, he makes this comment, which is going to be a running joke throughout this episode. And he says that Umibozu may have done all of the things that he had done with Miki, taking care of her from since the time she was 8 years old to the present day, and getting her to endear himself to her.
Endear herself to him.
That's what I meant. As a way of enacting his own sort of Hikaru Genji plan.
He's referring to some kind of a historical literature book in Japanese, The Tale of Genji. And I don't really know a lot about this book. Maybe one day I should read some traditional Japanese historical literature. I have to admit it's not super high up on my list of important things to do right this second.
There's a lot of manga in the way.
Which sounds really shitty, but...
But I mean, it is what it is. And the idea here is that, from what we're told from Ryo, the thing to take over from the story of Genji is that he did something very similar where he took care of a kid from a very young age to basically endear the kid to him, and then eventually when the kid became of age, they became romantically involved.
I will assume that is in fact what happens in that book. I don't know if I should trust anime to tell me what is in historical, traditional Japanese literature, but maybe that's actually what happens.
Wait. So you're telling me Sengoku Basara isn't how all that happened?
No.
What?
And Dynasty Warriors isn't 100% Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I mean, I don't know how to break this to you.
But Kaylin, everything I know about Arthurian legend, I know from the Fate series.
Well, please don't do that.
Everything I know about mythology, I got from Saint Seiya.
Everything I know about World War II, I learned from Italia.
Oh, no. No. We're not doing that. We do not do that here.
See, okay, I have to set aside some time to read the Tale of Genji, or else this is gonna be like, oh, I know that. I learned about that from City Hunter.
Like, there was literally a copy of a book at the front door last night when we were over at Barnes & Nobles that said traditional Japanese folklore tales, just a book of them right there by the door.
Do you think it has the Tale of Genji in it?
It might. And you know what? That would probably help with a lot of viewing of Japanese media if we understood their legends that they're referencing. Like, conversely, imagine if Japanese people are watching stuff from over here and they're seeing stuff about Pecos Bill or Johnny Appleseed. They're not going to understand.
And they're not going to understand when they suddenly find out Martin Short was Johnny Appleseed one time in 1986. You know what? Nobody in America knows that either. Because that happened.
But they should, because Martin Short's just great.
That having been said, what Ryo is basically comparing this to is saying, there's this guy in traditional Japanese historical literature who did a grooming once, and so that's what you did, Umibozu. You did a grooming, and Umibozu's very not happy with the way that sounds, as he should be, because that sounds super gross and disgusting, and Ryo's just trying to get under his skin, because I don't feel like that's what Umibozu was trying to do.
No, Umibozu was simply just trying to take care of a kid to make sure the kid survived.
Sure. And then that kid grew up.
And of their own volition, separate from Umibozu, because Umibozu, remember, he removed himself from the picture. Umibozu just happened to end up in a situation where Miki found him later, fully an adult, and was like, hey, you, rest of my life, yes.
And Umibozu is fighting it a little bit. So, I don't know, like, I understand how Ryo comes to this scenario of, you did a grooming, which it's just, this whole thing is really awkward.
Yes, and that's gonna carry throughout the whole episode, but as you would figure, Umibozu gets really pissed at being called a groomer, as you should if you've never done it, and he starts throwing half of the restaurant at Ryo.
And Ryo throws the other half of the restaurant back at him, and so now there's like a food fight. I mean, like, it's mostly closed coffee cans and stuff, so thankfully it's not like open food all over the floor.
I mean, there looked like there was some, like there's some pastries getting thrown.
Yeah, maybe.
So after all this has gone on for a bit, Kaori walks into the bar and she's like, hey, I'm here, and Umibozu greets her and he's all like banged up from all the stuff Ryo's been throwing directly at his face. All
disheveled. And really so is everybody, but Kaori is mostly scared of Umibozu because he just looks even worse than he usually does, but it takes her a second and she's like, oh, it's just Umibozu. Oh, okay. Hey, Ryo, I've got a job. The client is following right behind me.
Ooh, really?
We got work to do right now.
All right, what kind of work is it? And Ryo looks back at the door and he sees this very beautiful woman standing in the door with dark green hair and blue eyes. And he's like, oh, yes, the kind of client I like. And Kaori's having to tell him, no, look a little lower. Oh, the boobs! Oh, I'm definitely here for the boobs. She's got great boobs. And she's like, no, look a little lower. What? Why would I look a little lower right now? The boobs are right there. And he just looks a little lower at about her waistline, and just slightly to the left of her is a little girl.
No. It's Ryo's least favorite thing. A child. Mind you, this is all after this woman, like, he's tried to tackle this woman, and the woman threw him on his ass. Just
like,
straight
real
onto
hard
the floor.
judo throw with amazing airtime.
So now he's looking up at this child from the floor like, no, forget this. This is not what I am here for.
And so now we have to make introductions here. So the taller woman who is the nanny of the little girl, her name is Akiko, and she is taking care of this little girl by the name of Sarah. Not the same Sarah from the opening song.
Sarah, but like, it's the same spelling, right? Or is it not?
I think it depends. Some people, when they're doing the opening, I've seen some people add an H, and I'm like, no, I think it's just with an A.
Yeah, it's just Sarah.
And so Kaori's having to fill in Ryo on the situation here. So Sarah here, or Sarah, is the last in the line of the very rich Nishikujo family. And Ryo's like, oh, I'm aware of that family. Didn't the dad die recently?
He sure did, and that's why there's a problem now, because apparently other members of the family are very much in desire of having all of the inheritance, but the little girl is the one who's supposed to be the head of the family the next.
Yes.
It's like 18th in the line.
This is
all
80s Japanese succession here. Ryo's like, oh man, that's crazy. I am so not interested. It's a kid.
That's really all it takes. Even if there's a possibility that this person is really friggin' rich.
And there'd be an amazing payout. Mind you, we've seen them complaining for the last several episodes that they're not getting a lot of work.
And so Umibozu's over here like, why would you turn this person down? Hey, wait a minute. Weren't you the one talking to me about enacting the Hikaru Genji plan of raising some girl up to be endeared to you? Like, don't you think that you could pull that off? So now this is two people in Ryo's life who have suggested the idea of grooming a child in order to get him to do the right thing and just protect that child.
You know Umibozu doesn't mean it because Umibozu doesn't think like this. He has never been characterized like this.
He just thinks Ryo is an asshole, and he's just throwing what Ryo just said to him back in his face, but then Ryo, like, took it literally?
So Ryo's over here getting mad at Umibozu for suggesting the thing he suggested, because, yeah, he just threw it right back at him. And at this moment, Sarah, the little girl, walks up to Ryo and just touches his arm, his forearm, just a little bit. And we see this, like, flash of, like, inverted colors here on the screen, and the little dotted lines around the head. And we see Ryo experiencing, like, what the hell's going on?
So this is Sarah, like, mind reading, right? She's at least getting a sense of what his inner emotions are. And she's realizing, oh, you're actually a really lonely man.
You're a lonely man in such a lonely world, yet your heart, it's still so warm. Oh my god. And this little girl is crying. She's got like empathy powers, sort of. She's sensing who Ryo is on the inside, and she's just overcome with emotion. And so Kaori's getting all pissed at him like, what'd you do to the little girl? She's crying now.
The nanny knows what's up, understands that this girl has ESP and can at least read empathy or something like that, and sometimes even read people's minds. So she knows, no, there's a reason this is happening.
And so apparently what the problem here is that Sarah doesn't really have too much control over her powers beyond a certain extent because she's been like this since she was a baby. As such, she's become really sensitive to when people are putting on like a false face because she can immediately read the room and be like, oh, I see what you're really thinking.
Right.
And then another joke is made about grooming, and then action just goes back to the apartment.
Umibozu was just joking, right?
Yeah, he was joking.
But Ryo took it kind of seriously and said, so, do you really think this little girl is gonna grow up to become this really pretty woman? And Umibozu's like, yeah, probably, I guess.
Yeah, sure, why not? I think Umibozu is aware that he's dicking with him, but I think he should have been a little more aware. No, man, don't give him any ideas. Like, don't bolster this. Even if you think you're getting revenge for what he said about you earlier, just don't with Ryo, please.
But Umibozu's not always smart about his communication skills.
No, he is not.
So now this is happening. Now, Ryo has seriously enacted a groomer's plan.
Let's just get this out of the way now. He's gonna give it up pretty quick. Thank God.
Okay, you just want to jump straight to that part.
Yeah, because I don't want it to sound at all like we're cool with it, is what I'm saying.
Well, I would have never said that we were cool with that. Like, this is like at least the third time we're saying, and then Ryo talked about grooming a child, and that sure was shitty, but every single time he's given it up pretty fast.
I know, it's our own disclaimer here.
Yeah.
So now they're back over at the apartment because as Akiko is telling them, if they stay at the mansion they live at with all their family members who one of them probably wants to kill the little girl, they're probably not going to be safe, so they're better off being there at Ryo and Kaori's place.
But it's Ryo's place, so they have to be with Ryo. And so Kaori's like, Are you sure? I don't know about this.
Also, look at this mess.
Because it is especially messy in there in Ryo's room. More so than usual, honestly.
Yeah, like there's just trash everywhere, magazines, food wrappers.
But Akiko is a royal nanny trained by royal people, and she knows how to nanny and how to clean. So she cleans the whole place almost too well. Shockingly, frighteningly well.
And as she's cleaning, she's commenting on, he seems like a lecherous person, but, for the location, this makes a lot of sense. If we had stayed at the mansion, we'd have been easy to pick off for snipers. But here, this building's really hard for a sniper to get somebody at, which has been commented on in other episodes before.
Right.
Like, he's picked this location specifically so he could corner snipers.
Because he knows exactly where they're going to be coming from.
Exactly. And so as she's finishing up cleaning, Kaori comes up to Ryo and she's like, hey, I heard you say you were going to enact some, Hikaru Genji shit? You better not do that shit.
And Ryo's like, you know what? You're right. I don't even have the patience to do that. I better just focus on the adult woman in the room. That's how easily he was talked out of it.
Because he's like, yeah, the bigger, better deal is right here. Child, investment. No, I don't have the patience for that. Woman over here, 22 years of age, rockin' body. Yes. Why did I hesitate? What was wrong with me? My bad. I'm gonna go work on that. So as she's finishing up in Ryo's room, I guess she started working on the living room, and she's got the vacuum cleaner right now.
Ryo's sneaking out like a cockroach, climbing across the back of the couch.
Like some sort of perverted Spider-Man.
And then Ryo lunges from behind the couch and tries to attack the booty, but then he gets a vacuum cleaner in the dick?
Yeah, so at the exact moment that he lunges at Akiko, that's when she decided to turn around, and she's got, this long extension on the vacuum cleaner. And you're right, it catches him right in the junk, and he gets this, Kermit the Frog face.
Just Muppet face as he just freaks out because this is an uncomfortable sensation.
And she's like, oh my god, I didn't even know you were back there. The vacuum was on.
And she's not turning it off. She knows, oh, this is an uncomfortable thing. I'm just gonna let this ride for a while.
Kaori's there in the hall, and she sees Ryo coming down the hallway, and Ryo is just walking down the hallway with the vacuum cleaner still attached to his junk.
Also, there's a really long extension cord. We don't see the end of this extension cord, even though he walks from one side of the screen to the other. Who has an extension cord that long?
But see, the thing that worries me is, he didn't necessarily look like he was in pain. He told her to turn it off.
No, he was definitely in discomfort.
Yeah, but, I'm not gonna say I don't put it past him. Is he gonna go have some alone time with the vacuum cleaner in his own room?
That's potentially dangerous. I don't think it
would be, but I wouldn't put it past him.
Okay.
Not 100%. And now that Akiko is finished cleaning, the apartment is immaculate. And on top of that, Akiko has made this giant ass spread of food.
I mean, she would have to go buy this food because, to the best of my knowledge, Ryo and Kaori cannot afford a lot of really good food right now.
Yeah, especially with the string of luck they've had with getting jobs. So yeah, I imagine that's what happened. She had to go either get food, or I don't know what delivery services were like for groceries in 88, but, she got that food to the apartment.
I mean, I don't remember having grocery delivery when I was a child.
I mean, me either, but, it's there. And they're chowing down. She's got a full spread of, a roast turkey or something, or chicken and salad and all this stuff. She made coffee, and Ryo's like, man, you can judo throw, you can clean, you can cook. Kaori, you're fired.
Which he tells her a couple of times in this conversation. But meanwhile, the TV is on while they're eating. And as the TV is on, the news is playing. And on the news, hey, little girl from this really rich family has been kidnapped by her nanny. And now the weather.
Yeah, that's...
Really?
I'm going to leave this in for a second. Literally, it has been quiet all morning since we've been up and we watched the episode to go back over this. And literally, every time we start recording, that's when emergency vehicles decide to come past.
That's what it's like in the life of a person that needs to record things.
If you're doing podcasts or remote recording, they can sense it. There's a dispatch somewhere that senses, someone's recording. Quick, emergency vehicle. But yeah, that's as quickly as they get through the story, like, this woman kidnapped this little girl, and now sports. Like, it was so, like, a non-actual news item. Like, you could have read that out of the paper. That's how quick they got past it. So, of course, doing their due diligence, Ryo and Kaori ask Akiko, hey, so, like, did you actually kidnap her? Like, can we get a little clarification on that? And she's like, yeah, I basically kidnapped her because we can't trust the family. And if we do this and we're on the run, surely the person who is trying to kill her is going to come out of hiding and make a move.
And I love how Ryo's like, he at no point questions that story. And instead,
yeah, because it's happened.
And instead is like, you're actually a really good nanny. Good job. Also, Kaori, you're double fired. I love how there's this animation where he does the finger across the neck thing, and the animators, like, actually animated his head getting detached for 2 or 3 frames.
Like Buggy the Clown detached from his body for a second. And so now we move on to bedtime, and we know that Ryo has a schedule when it comes to nighttime hours. It is now, as we're seeing on the digital clock face, 2 a.m., which means it's pervin time.
He's wearing the traditional gear of the perv, tying, like,
a t-shirt or a
towel
towel
over his head and under his nose. I don't know why anyone decided this means that it makes you, like, invisible, or that people don't recognize your face because you can clearly still tell it's you. I don't understand it, but it's the traditional garb of the pervert.
And he's also just wearing his boxers. And so he's getting ready, as you would figure, to sneak out and go get into Akiko's bed and have some love action. Problem is, when he gets to his own door to open it up and get out into the hallway, there's a little girl out there.
So Sara's out there, and she just needs somebody to watch out for her because she's not able to go to sleep, she's having bad dreams, she's unhappy, she's been crying.
And Ryo's like, that's right, she just lost her dad. God, I can't do this right now. Alright, you know what? Just for tonight, I'm gonna make sure I take care of this kid. And you know, that shows that Ryo does have the softer side when it comes to kids. Because yeah, you saw how quickly he gives up. I can turn this off. I'm turning it off for tonight. And so he lets Sarah, you know, she immediately knocks out in his bed. She's just gripping onto his arm. And yeah, she's like silently weeping in bed there.
But she finally kind of knocks out. She feels a little more comforted. And actually, like, this is the one time that Ryo's, like, doing the right thing. He's not actually thinking about doing anything weird and creepy to her or anything.
Which means it's perfect for this to be the moment that Akiko and Kaori to come busting in the room like, what are you doing with that kid? Ugokuna!
I mean, the one time it actually was not something weird, that's when they decided to go on the attack.
And to be fair, doing their due diligence, they tied Ryo up and left him in the mattress up on the roof, like happens sometimes. And then in the morning, Ryo has to explain, no, I didn't do it. And Sara's like, no, he didn't do it. And they're like, oh, well, we were hoping that was the case, but we were just doing our due diligence, but it's good to hear that you didn't do anything messed up. That's good. And so Akiko's having to explain to both of them, yeah, so this is the drawback to Sara's powers. So apparently, by touch, she can read minds, and she can kind of stave off reading anybody else's mind without trying while she's awake. But when she's asleep, there's no filter or anything.
So it all just gets into her brain.
And so, as such, she was reading all of the, like, bad vibes of her family, all the ill thoughts they were having. And so the night her dad died, she had a real bad nightmare, we figure, based off somebody else's bad thoughts about her dad, probably thinking about killing her off too to get the money and the inheritance, and that's why we ran. So now they've been there, they plan on staying there at the apartment. Somebody needs to go out and do some shopping.
So the nanny plans on going, Ryo plans on going with the nanny, but also Sara's got some plans of her own, and she dresses herself up in kind of boyish clothes, puts on the CH City Hunter baseball cap, and says, I'm going to, which really is upsetting to Ryo because he really just wanted alone time with the nanny.
Kaori initially signs off on this like, oh, well, if the 3 of them are going, then Ryo is less likely to hit on Akiko, so I feel better about that. So she lets him walk out the front door.
Except now she's realizing they look like a family together, and Kaori even says, I don't know why I'm upset, but I am.
So they're there out at the shopping districts somewhere, these high-rise buildings that have all the different stores in them, and Ryo goes through the series of trying to ask Akiko if she needs a certain something, and he of course has an ulterior motive because he wants sexy time, and every time he does it, that's when Sara decides to reach out and see what's he really thinking.
And every single time Ryo is just thinking about getting romantically intimate with this woman, and she has to pull away like, oh my god, this was horrifying, this is really embarrassing, embarrassing.
And by like the second or third time of this happening, Akiko finally recognizes that's what's happening, that Sara's reading his mind, and she's like, stop that.
You gotta stop reading his mind, cut it out.
The unfortunate thing is, because they're out in the open, and mind you, Akiko isn't really disguised that much, she's just wearing a hat. Same with Sara, she's just wearing a baseball cap.
Yeah, I don't know why they thought this was gonna work. And it didn't, because two people who were representatives of that really rich family who want the little girl dead see her, and they're like, wow, that disguise sucks. Follow her.
Yeah, so that didn't work at all. It seems like, as far as we're aware, the first shop they went to, dudes were already posted up. Like, all right, we gotta wait for them to show up. Oh, they're already here. Damn, I packed a sandwich.
There they are.
I thought we were going to be on a stakeout. I mean, I guess we'll be done by lunch. So now they're out playing in the park, and actually I got ahead of myself. This is where it's explained that that's how Sara's powers work.
Right, that's why I wasn't sure how to follow that up, because you did that early.
But yeah, she's saying because of all of this, she only really opens up to me. If she was leaving her mind open to all of these different thoughts and things, it would drive her insane.
So usually she closes her brain off, but you can't do that when you sleep.
And as they're talking about this, Sara's just there playing with this cute little dog she found in the park. And this dude, just one of the two dudes, it was only two dudes at the department store. One dude just comes walking up the field by himself, making a beeline towards Sara.
And the dog is spooked by this guy just approaching. And Sara sort of mind reads the dog and sees there's a dude approaching that has spooked the dog. At the same time, Rio is like, there's a dude approaching.
Because he's got super hearing.
He can just hear there's a dude approaching. And so they have both used their semi-superpowers to hear, oh my god, a dude is coming.
But also, the dude was walking straight down the middle of an empty field by himself towards a little child. How hard would that be to miss? All you gotta do is go, huh? And there you see the guy.
Hey, don't walk up to my kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't walk up to my kid. What are you doing?
So Rio's like, quick, get behind me. And dude's like, hey, the little girl. Give me the little girl.
No. Okay, well, I've got a gun. So?
And so as Rio's getting very protective, Sara reaches out again and touches Rio's arm, and she sees, like, the resolve in his head.
Yeah, like, now she's not really doing a whole lot of mystical mind reading, because, quite frankly, the way he's presenting is actually the way he's thinking and feeling, so...
Yeah, it's very straightforward. No, I'm going to do everything within my power to protect you and Akiko right now. Like, he doesn't have time to think about Pervin when there's a legitimate threat right in front of him.
So they start pulling weapons, but Rio is better at pulling weapons.
He's much faster, so much so that they do this, like, double take thing where they show him slowly pulling out the gun from his jacket, and then they play it back faster.
Just to sort of indicate, yes, this is just how fast this guy is.
And with, like, one shot, not only does he disarm the guy of his gun, but somehow he also made him drop his pants.
Did he fire 2 shots that we just didn't see? Like, I don't know.
I counted 1 shot.
I know, I counted 1 shot also, but I don't see how, with 1 bullet, knocked the gun out of the other guy's hand and also dropped his pants. Because, like, they are too far away from each other. Unless the ricochet of the bullet was off the gun and then down to the pants? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Also, what doesn't make any sense is the fact that Rio bothered to draw attention to this guy's Ray-Bans didn't look good on his face.
Well, they don't.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that they decided to name drop Ray-Bans.
Look, they've been name dropping a lot of products in this show that they probably should not have name dropped, but they got away with it.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
You could do that. And so, credit to the guys. This guy is disarmed and he's literally being caught with his pants down. His partner is in another car that's colored similarly to Kaori's Fiat.
It's a different car, though. Like, it's also blocky, but it's blocky in a different way. It's just generic 80s blocky.
But it is the same color.
It is a very similar color, yeah.
And this dude, like, Tokyo Drift, gets in the way of Rio and the other guy who was trying to kidnap the kid and is like, get in the car! And, like, baby drivers them away. They're having a comment on this, like, oh my god, they were actually really good at getting out of here.
But Akiko's like, well, that's over, let's just go back home.
And so again, because this is all over, now that tensions have died down, Sara runs over to Ryo's arm and she reads his mind, and he's thinking this, that he wants Akiko to give him a thank you kiss for saving them.
Which she does not do. She's just like a normal thank you and just leaves, and Ryo's very disappointed. But Sara is like, well, I'll give him the thank you kiss. He did save me.
And she just gives him a little peck on the cheek. And Ryo's like, oh, well, that's cute, but no need for that.
He's a little confused, in fact.
But now we see for the remainder of the episode that because of all of this stuff, and because Sara has seen into his mind and seen what kind of person he really is, now she's like sticking to him like glue.
Inseparable. she's with him, with everything he does in the apartment. We see a little mini montage, like he's down in his firing range below the apartment building, and she's just hanging out with him there in the firing range, and he jokingly, like, offers his Magnum to her, like, you wanna hold the gun? And she's like, no. Thankfully, because, like, don't give a kid.
Don't give an 11-year-old a gun.
Well, certainly not a Magnum, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a damn hand cannon. She wouldn't be able to hardly pick it up.
She'll break her fingers.
Exactly. And they're upstairs playing chess, and they seem to be having a real good time.
And then Akiko is like, I don't know if I like how close they're getting. And Kaori's like, why? What's the problem? Ryo can protect her better this way if they're always together. But Akiko's like, yeah, but you don't think it looks like she's falling in love with him? Kaori's like, no. Yes, 11-year-olds get crushes. You don't know?
And Kaori's like, well, what if it's like she sees him as like a father figure? Akiko's throwing back, well, I mean, I could kind of see it. Like, here, take a look at her dad. And she's got this photo in her pocket of them all together. And Kaori's having to remark, oh, the dad was handsome. Wow.
And the nanny's like, yeah, and most certainly not a weird lecher like Ryo is.
And so perfect comic timing, Ryo just appears over Kaori's shoulder like, hey, so do you want to become her mom? Because I am seriously trying to fire you and get with Akiko.
He's really just dicking with her, but also is a little bit, it sounds like he's a little bit jealous because she's looking at this photo of this other dude who, by the way, is dead, okay?
Yeah.
But she's commenting that he's hot, and Ryo didn't seem to like that.
Yeah, this is one of the few times that it seems pretty apparent that Ryo is jealous about Kaori's attention.
But Kaori's just really mad at the idea, once again, of getting fired, and pulls out another hammer, and Sarah's like, no, don't hit him! Like, she's not here for how much getting hit with a hammer he goes through. He lives through this all the time. We just do this around here, okay?
Yeah,
but
she doesn't know that.
She's just like, she just doesn't want him to get hurt.
It's been like 24 hours. She doesn't know that yet.
So she throws her hands up and touches Kaori to try to stop her from swinging this hammer. But in the midst of that, she kind of, I'm gonna assume this is an accident, that she has read her mind. She's just trying to stop Kaori. She's not actively trying to read her mind.
But it's the fact that she's making physical contact, which is her way of actively reading somebody's mind.
And, well, that did it. This is an upsetting thing, because now she can tell Kaori loves Ryo. Like, she just says it to herself.
Well, to the audience.
It's a statement of a fact because she can see it. So,
yeah.
like, there is no question Kaori loves Ryo.
And that's where the episode ends, of her running away from Kaori, now burdened with the knowledge that she loves this perverted man.
Well, now, like, she feels like she's in competition with this woman who's a lot more age-appropriate to Ryo. Like, this 11-year-old shouldn't even be thinking about this, but an 11-year-old half the time can't control that kind of thing. But now she's very upset. Like, oh no, somebody else has feelings for the person that I just figured out I've developed feelings for.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, when you think about that, this is back-to-back episodes where we have other people confirming how these two characters feel about each other. Umibozu last week, I'm worried I can't protect Miki the way you protect the person you love, Ryo, and I'm clearly referring to Kaori. And then this week, little girl's like, oh my god, I can clearly see your thoughts and you are in love with this man.
And so we're gonna have to see how this resolves next week.
Because, yeah, there's gonna be more of that, having to deal with the 11-year-old in competition with the 21-year-old? Kaori's 21 right now, right?
I think she's 21.
And then the guys who are trying to kidnap the little girl actually catch up.
So we gotta save her from dying.
Which is important for multiple reasons. We don't want anything bad to happen to children. Also, I just want them to get paid.
That too.
I just want them to get paid because if it was me and I just barely got the mini back, I'm trying to build up a nest egg to make sure I can afford another mini because I know at some point I'm gonna wreck this one too.
And I'm pretty sure that happens at some point. They're gonna need another car.
I think they're gonna wreck it one more time before the end of the season.
At least one more time. There's a whole plot point about getting him a new car in a future episode and how badly he wants it to be a Mini Cooper. You remember that? That comes up.
It does come up, you're right. But we don't have to worry about that right now. We have to worry about the little kid, and thankfully, no more thoughts of grooming.
I don't even know why you you said it. We didn't need to talk about it. We didn't need to think about it. Nobody needs to be discussing it. It's over.
Yeah, the episode is over.
So come back next time when we cover the 42nd episode of City Hunter 2, Mokkori Everywhere, Ryo's Mind and a Psychic Girl, Part 2.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on most social media. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 92nd episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, Josh is gonna stay weak forever.
Are you calling me weak sauce?
Yes.
That hurts.